The orbital dawn rose over the quiet hangars of Station Meridian as pilot Aaron prepared for another routine patrol. His world had shrunk to steel corridors, shift rotations, and the cold distance of a war that showed no sign of ending. For months, humanity and the distant Lyrians had clashed across scattered star systems, neither side gaining enough ground to force peace. Aaron had learned to live with the strain. He had also learned that war stripped away everything except duty. That morning he felt the familiar weight of it as he checked his gear and stepped toward his scout vessel. The hum of the station's generators vibrated beneath his boots. The hall smelled of fuel and recycled air. He kept his thoughts steady. The patrol route carried him along the border zone where tensions ran high. His ship glided through the dark like a blade of silver. He monitored the sensors while the radio remained silent. Hours passed without incident until a sudden flare of energy lit his display. It was a crash signal. The coordinates pointed toward a barren moon that circled a dying red star. Aaron rerouted immediately. Debris flashed across his viewport, and a damaged Lyrian craft spiraled toward the rocky surface. He had seconds to decide. Training told him to report. Instinct told him to act. He chose instinct. The engines roared. His vessel descended through the thin atmosphere, kicking up clouds of dust as he followed the crash trail. The wreck lay half buried in a ridge. Metal plates were twisted. Smoke hissed from fractured vents. Aaron approached cautiously. He expected resistance or weapon fire, but the ship remained silent. Inside he found faint traces of movement. He braced himself as he entered the cracked hull. A small chamber held a cocoon-like cradle, and inside was a child. The young Lyrian blinked up at him with wide, dark eyes. There was fear, but also an odd calm. The child was tiny, delicate, and barely breathing. Aaron hesitated only a moment. He knew the rules. Yet something about the fragile figure stirred a part of him he had tried to bury. He lifted the child gently. The little one pressed close to his chest with surprising trust. Aaron moved quickly back to his ship. Dust storms were rising. The ground trembled with distant seismic rumblings. Once airborne, he reported a neutral rescue event. Command responded with clipped orders to secure the child until a diplomatic decision could be made. Aaron understood the tension behind those words. A human pilot carrying an enemy child could create political chaos. Yet he also knew the child would not have survived another hour. He set course for Station Meridian at top speed. The child rested in a temporary support cradle while medtechs checked vital patterns. They discovered a unique Lyrian energy signature linked to maternal bonds. The techs noted that the signal pulsed faintly, suggesting the mother might still live. Aaron listened carefully, but said nothing. He focused on keeping the child calm. He fed water through a safe dispenser and watched tiny hands curl around the cup. He felt a strange protectiveness he had never expected. News of the rescue spread quickly across the station. Some crews viewed Aaron with suspicion. Others whispered uneasy admiration. The conflict with the Lyrians had hardened many hearts. Saving an enemy child raised questions no one wanted to confront. Aaron ignored the stares. His only concern was the little one who gripped his sleeve whenever he prepared to leave the med bay. The bond grew stronger each day. He read reports while sitting near the cradle. He spoke in a soft, steady voice. The child would tilt its head as if absorbing meaning from the rhythm rather than the words. Aaron noticed subtle shifts in color along the child's skin patterns. Med experts believed these hues reflected emotion. Over time, the patterns brightened when Aaron was near. 3 days after the rescue, a transmission struck the station network. A Lyrian vessel approached under a white beacon, the universal signal for parley. The message identified the sender as Lyra, a commander from the Lyrian fleet. She declared peaceful intent, but demanded immediate communication. Station leadership convened an emergency meeting. Aaron was summoned to attend. Lyra appeared on the hollow platform as a tall figure with smooth silver-blue skin and luminous eyes. Her presence carried dignified composure, yet fierce intensity. When she spoke, her voice resonated with layered harmonics that echoed through the chamber. She announced that the child was hers, and that she had tracked the bond pulse to the station. She requested the return of her offspring and demanded to meet the protector. The leadership exchanged uneasy glances. Some argued for caution. Others saw opportunity. Aaron listened without speaking until asked to step forward. Lyra's gaze fixed on him. Her eyes softened slightly. She thanked him for saving her child, acknowledging the risk he had taken. She then explained that her crash had separated her from the young one during a surprise gravitational surge. She had believed the worst until the bond pulse revived. Aaron felt the weight of her words. He agreed to return the child, but insisted on ensuring the transfer was safe and calm. Lyra accepted, but requested he be present at the reunion. She said the child would respond best to both familiar figures. The room stirred with unease. No one could predict whether this meeting might shift diplomatic tides. The leadership ultimately agreed that the transfer chamber was prepared with strict security. Aaron carried the child, who clung to him with nervous tension. As the doors opened, Lyra stepped forward. The child recognized her immediately and reached out. Aaron felt a sudden release as Lyra gently gathered the small figure into her arms. The child glowed with renewed color patterns and pressed its forehead against hers. Lyra closed her eyes with deep relief. After a long moment, she turned to Aaron. She expressed gratitude not through formality, but through a personal vow of honor. She then made an unexpected request. She asked him to accompany her to her vessel so that her people could acknowledge his act. Station officers reacted with shock. Allowing a human pilot to board an enemy diplomatic craft was risky. Lyra insisted her request was not political. She said her child had bonded with him and that her people respected such bonds. Aaron considered the request carefully. He felt a pull he could not explain. The child reached toward him again, sensing his hesitation. Aaron agreed under controlled conditions. He boarded the Lyrian vessel, escorted by a small human detail who remained near the entry port. The interior shimmered with organic architecture shaped by fluid crystalline matrices. Soft lights pulsed in rhythmic harmony. Lyrian crew members observed him with curiosity rather than hostility. They guided him to a central chamber where elders gathered. Lyra introduced him. The elders listened to her account of the rescue. They acknowledged his courage in saving one of their young. Aaron remained composed, though he felt their attention like warm rays of pressure. The child stayed close to both Lyra and Aaron, shifting between them with trusting movements. The bond seemed to bridge species. One elder explained that young Lyrians formed energy impressions of those who protected them. These impressions could shape future empathy patterns. By saving the child, Aaron had influenced its development in a profound way. Lyra then revealed her reason for insisting he come aboard. She believed that their two peoples stood on the edge of deeper conflict. She believed that his act represented a rare spark that could alter the course of negotiations. She wanted him to serve as a living symbol during upcoming peace talks. The request startled him. He had expected gratitude. He had not expected a role that could change the direction of the war. Back on station, Meridian leadership debated the implications. Some feared manipulation. Others saw potential for breakthrough. They asked Aaron for his judgment. He spoke plainly. He believed Lyra was sincere. He believed the child was proof that trust could form even in the harshest circumstances. The leadership deliberated for many hours. In the end, they agreed that Aaron could participate in talks as long as stringent safety measures were upheld. The Lyrian delegation returned to their ship and signaled readiness. The negotiations began aboard a neutral platform that drifted between human and Lyrian space. Representatives from both sides arrived with caution. Aaron stood beside his commanders, while Lyra stood with her own. The child rested in a secure comfort cradle placed between them. When discussions stalled, the child would show small color shifts that eased tension in the room. The simple presence of the young one reminded both sides of the stakes beyond military victory. Lyra spoke with calm strength. She emphasized shared survival rather than dominance. Aaron added his perspective, describing the crash site, the rescue, and the moment he realized the child trusted him. His words held weight because they were grounded in action rather than strategy. Over days of negotiation, barriers began to soften. Human commanders acknowledged Lyrian grievances. Lyrian representatives recognized human security concerns. New frameworks emerged that balanced territory and resource needs. Lyra and Aaron often found themselves side by side, discussing logistics or clarifying intentions for their respective teams. They developed a mutual respect shaped by crisis and cooperation. In quieter moments, they spoke of their home worlds. Lyra described the shimmering lyre forests of her planet, where branches resonated like musical strings. Aaron described the deep oceans of Earth, where ancient blue giants swam in silent grace. The conversations felt calm and sincere. They discovered that their peoples shared more similarities,